market update.
For 2023.
For 2023, yeah.
I think, everybody was complaining about the market, mostly realtors, and we'll explain why. But
I'd agree with you.
Yeah, but reality is, despite the perception, it hasn't been that bad. Let's start with average price. Let's talk about what the average price has done in the last 12 months.
In the last 12 months, from December of 2022 to December of 2023, in 2022 we were at 519,708 for average purchase price. Where in 2023 we ended up at 545,000. So we went up 4.87% overall for our average purchase price for homes in the HRM, which is good because, like you said, there seems to have been this feeling of a not great market.
Well, it's surprising. The whole thing is a little surprising. You've had the government come in and do extremely aggressive interest rate hikes, and it did slow sales down significantly, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But even though sales did slow down as much as they did, which is why us realtors are complaining, the average price wasn't, it was definitely affected, but it still increased.
Still increased.
Without the interest rate increase, prices would have continued to skyrocket, I think, like they did in years gone by. So, the goal of these interest rates was to cool things down.
Yep.
And, a 4.8% increase in average price, I'll take that all day long. That's
as homeowners, definitely.
Yeah, everything's expensive, but at least it's not exploding like it has done in the more recent years.
Which begs the question. I know you hate talking about the future.
Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the future in a minute. I'm not done with the past yet. So I talked about sales a minute ago. Let's dive into that a bit more. So, I'm going to compare this to 2020 and 2021, which, as you know, were the crazy times, COVID times. Those years, we hovered around 6,000 sales a year. Okay? Compare that to 2023, we were sitting at 3,800 sales. So we saw a reduction in the number of sales by 2,200 units, which is pretty significant, I would say.
It's a lot less activity.
Yeah. 2,000 homes that didn't change.
Yep.
On top of that, maybe why we didn't see a price drop was 1,400 fewer listings hit the market this year than they did in 2021. So even though our sales have dropped significantly, we still have an inventory problem. And that's compounded by, I don't want to sell my house right now because I've got this great interest rate, and that's what everyone's thinking. Like, well, I can't sell now because I'm sitting on this 2.5% interest rate. So sellers are holding back. So that's why prices are still going up, in my opinion, because we've taken that inventory out of the market. And even though demand has dropped, demand is still slightly outstripping supply.
Yep, I agree, absolutely. And especially when you get down to a certain price point. Do we want to talk about what that looks like? Because 50% of our activity is falling under $500,000.
Yeah.
So,
that means half of our sales in HRM occurs between $300,000 and $500,000. So half of the buyers are buying in a $200,000 price bracket, which makes that segment of the market extremely competitive.
Yes, it does. Yeah. If you look at all the stats, inventory is low in there, month supply is low there, but sales are up there.
People are still in multiple offers.
Not as many as they were before, but there's still multiple offer situations, really aggressive offers. Yeah. You'll see that from 300 to 500,000. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you get into the higher price stuff, 700-800 plus, there are now fewer people that can afford those homes because interest rates are higher. It's harder to get approved. So those homes you are seeing, sit on the market for a little bit longer. Definitely still selling. That's when the value of your realtor really shows too, because I've sold in all sorts of different types of market. I lived in Fort McMurray, and I've seen, a boom town and bust. So what we're in right now is actually quite healthy. Sitting on the market for 30 to 45 days is normal, but your realtor needs to be able to market your house properly,
Yep.
and then B, make sure they're engaging with the people that do come through, obtaining feedback, and then being able to negotiate effectively on your behalf to get the job done and in your best interests, right? It was easy to sell houses the last couple of years. It's just open the door and let people in. But now your realtor actually has to do their job, which is...
Well, I mean, let's, back that bus up there a bit. I mean, yeah, we put your house on the market and you get lots of offers, but then, that's when our expertise came in because we had to help navigate and
Sure. Okay. So
negotiate.
The job was different, but now we have to market. There's more follow-up that's involved. It's a different. You have to change your strategy. So that, when the market changes, you have to change your strategy along with it.
Yeah. I think what you're saying is marketing the property wasn't so much the task at hand during that situation. It was more behind the scenes, which became very prevalent and important.
It became managing offers.
Right. Yes.
That's really what it was.
Yeah.
It was okay. Let's collect these offers and let me put them into a spreadsheet, and we'll pick the best one.
Yeah.
Pricing didn't even really matter.
No,
people were just choosing to list 3 or whatever. You could pick any price.
Yeah.
And then you'd get 10 offers, and it's just.
Yeah.
Anyway, I prefer this market. If you can't tell from that.
I prefer it.
Yeah, it's more sustainable, but we still have, like I've mentioned a few times, we have an inventory problem. For some perspective, back in 2018. In all of HRM, we had 1,792 homes for sale.
Yep.
Okay, it was a good market. It was fine. It was sustainable. Things were a lot more affordable. Fast forward to 2021, when things were completely insane, we had 174 homes for sale.
Yeah.
In the entire municipality. That's
crazy.
400,000 people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're not there. We're now up to 647, which is still significantly less than the 1,800 we had in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we're not seeing prices drop, because we still don't have the homes.
We still don't have the homes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's just not enough inventory in the market. No, and you're right. People are, homeowners are going to hold on to their homes because they got that sweet interest rate, and they don't want to let go of that. And I think we also come across a lot of homeowners who still have that question, that lingering question from the pandemic, which is, where am I going to go?
Yep.
And that's when we talk about the kind of equity they have in their house, where the average purchase price is now. You're leveraging that equity that you have to upgrade or downsize. Whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't carry a mortgage. Maybe you pick up a small mortgage on a bigger house, on a better location. I don't want to use the word better.
Yeah, well,
Another location,
yeah.
A more desirable location for wherever you're at in your life.
Whatever you desire.
Whatever you desire, exactly. Yeah.
So there's plenty of reasons to move. It's not all about the dollars.
Yes.
It's like, okay, can I have a better lifestyle for my family? And a better lifestyle could be a more affordable lifestyle. It could mean a bigger house. Like, it means something different to everybody.
Anything. Yeah.
Outlook for 2024. Like, I know that mortgage renewals coming up is a big. It's giving people a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because if in some cases your payments are going to double.
Yeah.
Or it's at least they're going to go up significantly when your interest rates have gone up so much as well. We wrote a blog about this recently, talking about some options that you can do to kind of mitigate some of those costs.
Yep.
Maybe we'll provide a link to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I've been speaking with, as so have you, many mortgage specialists about, how they're approaching this with each of their clients and whatnot. And it's not all doom and gloom. Really, it's not. The interest rates are higher, and it is gonna hit your pocket a little bit harder than you'd probably want it to. But at the end of the day, I don't know.
If you bought 3 years ago, you probably got $200,000 in equity. So, you can do things with that money.
Exactly.
You can, and maybe you have a car loan. So instead of just renewing your mortgage, you could do a refinance instead.
Yep.
Get a slightly bigger mortgage, and I know it's at a higher interest rate. But if you pay off your car with the equity you pulled out of your home, your total debt in the house might go down.
Exactly.
You can pay off the line of credit, a credit card, or maybe you pay off all 3 of those things. So now you have a higher mortgage payment, but you've got rid of all this other short-term debt, which had an even higher interest rate. Credit cards at 20%, for example, right? So there's so many options, and some sellers are going to choose to sell.
Some, yeah.
And they can.
They can, yeah.
Because they've got $200,000 in equity or whatever the case is, right? And the market's good. The biggest thing coming up is there's, after such an aggressive interest rate hike cycle, there's talk now that throughout next year, the interest rates are going to start to come down. And those 2,000 buyers that disappeared, they're paying extremely high rents somewhere, most likely. So they were all sidelined by this interest rate increase cycle for fear, for affordability. What's going to happen? And I get it. It is a scary thing. But once there is, I think, a collective, interest rates are coming down. Yeah. Because rents are still so high, I think you're going to see a ton of people jump back into the market.
And there's something else to consider too, in the fact that we've had a huge influx and increase of people into the province. Yeah. Not just in 2022, but also again in 2023 as well. So there's all of that to account for. That there's. I know that the federal government has put things in place to try and cool the market, but the reality is they walked back a lot of that stuff shortly after they implemented. I'm talking about the foreign buyer ban. They walked back a lot of the was put on the market, as well as there were some allowances that they put on as well, which pretty much just allowed. I would say I can't put a number on it, but it allowed for people who were outside the country or inside the country for a short period of time, whatever, to purchase houses under a certain price point. What? Too much.
That was a ramble. The government has tried to intervene. Did that with the foreign buyer ban. They did it with high interest rates. You can say this part.
The government has tried to intervene to help cool the market with higher interest rates, with foreign buyer ban, with on a local level, the provincial government, out of province buyers as well. But even with all of these implementations, these policies, these new bylaws, the average purchase price has continued to climb.
Because we still have an inventory problem.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. I agree with you.
You stole my thunder.
He gets the podcast all the time. Like I just, if he invites me on, I'm gonna talk a lot.
Okay. All right. All right. What else we got over there?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Okay.
To be honest. So
all right.
We'll see what happens in the coming months. And actually, one thing I will leave with is, for the last 2 years, almost identical to one another, our average price has peaked in the spring and it has come down again by December. My mentor, when I was first in the industry, used to say to me, only the real sellers sell in December. There's fewer buyers in the winter months. So if you're looking to sell in the spring or summer, and if you have to sell in the fall, winter, so be it. But the reality is, in 2022, the average price in April was $601,000. By December, it was $507,000. That's a 15% difference. In June of 23, the average price was $585,000. By December, it was $534,000, which is a 10% difference. So, don't do what everyone else is doing. Like, if you have real estate goals. If you're selling, you want to maximize your value. So sell at the time that allows you to do it. If you're buying, you want to pay as little as possible. So try and time it when other people aren't buying. Buy when interest rates are high, when people have been moved out, because you have less competition. You can leverage these scenarios to reach your goals. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. And that's our job, to guide you.
But that's also not accounting for any variables or unknowns that may or may not happen in the market as we move through. And that's just the market, regular market.
That's the last 2 years.
Yeah.
How interest rates affect the market in the next year. Buckle up. Let's see what happens.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much, Chris Perkins, for joining. No, wait. Hold on a second. Thank you, Chris. No, wait. Hold on a second. Thanks, Chris.
He's never going to invite me on again.